Hi everyone and welcome to this SmackDown review of the January 3rd, 2025 episode. Obviously this was the first SmackDown of the new year and boy did they kick it off with a bang. If you do enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications and be sure to let me know what you thought of SmackDown in the comments. So the show opened first with the Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes, and he came out and basically was saying how this weekend for wrestling and WWE is going to be massive. Obviously, SmackDown last night, it was the first 3-hour SmackDown, and then on Monday we have obviously the big Netflix premiere. So Cody was just talking about how the future of WWE looks like it's going to be better than ever. And he also mentioned that he's not actually medically cleared to wrestle. Now, obviously, it's not as severe as they have to strip him of the championship, thank God. But obviously with the pile driver at Saturday night's main event from Kevin Owens, and then obviously Kevin attacking Cody and whatnot. So Cody is not medically cleared to wrestle, so he's not going to be wrestling on Monday. And then to be honest, this kind of caught me a little bit off guard. Drew McIntyre's music hits, and out he comes, and he hugs Cody. And, well, Cody birthed a new meme out of it, with the look he was giving, and he was just as surprised as any of us. But Drew basically went on to say how that he wants to help Cody, he's not here to hurt him. Cody doesn't buy any of it. I don't think any of us did, to be honest. Yeah, Drew was offering Cody support, like, oh, you need someone to watch your back, and we'd come to find out that this was a setup, effectively, because Drew gets out of the ring and he says, Cody, you need to watch your back, and then lo and behold, Kevin Owens attacks Cody from behind, attacking the neck yet again. They tried to brawl, and it was a pretty chaotic open to the show. Obviously, Cody and Kevin are going to fight at the Royal Rumble in a ladder match, both championships. Obviously, Kevin's, he didn't earn, he took. But, yeah, Cody's championship will be above the ring. Kevin's championship will be above the ring. And we will crown an undisputed champion, even though we already have one that is disputed, because I still don't know why they're calling it the WWE Undisputed Championship, but here we are. Then we get into the first match of the night, which was for the United States Championship. It was Shinsuke taking on Andrade. Honestly, a pretty fun match. I think, honestly, it's a common theme for the show this week. Every match was fun and was good. Like, don't forget, this is the first episode of SmackDown. Technically, it's the first one of this new era, if that makes sense, because obviously for us in the UK, SmackDown does go to Netflix next week. So this one, we were watching it on YouTube, but they did stack it. Obviously, like Cody said, it's a kind of big weekend. You know, we're now very close to that Netflix premiere on Monday, so they needed to make SmackDown like kind of hype up Raw a little bit. So up next, we go into our first match. Shinsuke defending his United States Championship against Andrade in a really fun match. Those two work really well together in the ring. But they faced off. It was a competitive match. Shinsuke did retain the championship with a clean win. Post-match, LA Knight comes out, and I'm a bit about this because I don't mind it, but I do think that there's an issue right now with the mid-card. On SmackDown, I'm noticing it more. But with the, you know, we had the whole, I mean, Carmelo and Andrade best of 7, and for me, that got very repetitive very quickly. I don't mind them doing the best of 7, but it was the fact that it was what felt like 7 weeks in a row, rather than it being spaced out a bit more. And this, again, furthers that. Like, Shinsuke's in there now, yeah, but now we're getting LA Knight again. It seems like these guys are all fighting each other in some form. And it's the same with the women's division, with like Nia and Naomi and Bianca and Nia and Tiffany and all of those. Like, is there no other women? I know there's a lot of injuries right now. People like Asuka are out, Kairi Sane's out. But obviously Charlotte's not back yet. Becky's not back yet. But I don't know, man. The whole mid-card right now around that United States Championship, like, you've got people like Apollo Crews that aren't even, that they're only getting on the show on backstage segments. Like, Apollo hasn't wrestled on SmackDown in at least 2 weeks, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't think he wrestled last week. He might have done, but he's not being used when Apollo is actually really good in the ring, and I think he'd benefit from being around the United States Championship, to be honest. Yeah, next week we get LA Knight against Shinsuke, the rematch. I don't imagine LA Knight wins. To be honest, if anything, I reckon the match ends in some kind of shenanigans or a DQ or something, and then we get either the other rematch at Saturday Night's Main Event or at the Royal Rumble. One of the two. But the match, Shinsuke versus Andrade, pretty fun. And then up next, again, this is... again, my issue with the women's division right now, especially on SmackDown, I don't think I'm noticing it as much on Raw, but Michin against Piper Niven. I mean, how many times have these two fought, or Michin and Chelsea, and it's just... I do feel like there is a significant lack of talent right now, not in the sense of like the women that are wrestling, they're talented. I'm not saying they're not, but in terms of just keeping it fresh, there's not a whole lot happening to keep it fresh. And I know that there's a lot of injuries, like I said, and that people aren't back yet. But it's getting very repetitive. I mean, don't get me wrong. The work that they're doing with the story, I completely get. And this match, I understand why we got it. Obviously, Piper cost Michin, technically, at Saturday Night's Main Event. So I get it, but at the same time, I feel like I've seen this match 7 times in the last 2 months. Like, it's getting a little bit repetitive. But it was a decent match. Michin picking up the win. Up next, I'd argue probably the most disappointing match of the night. It was the Tag Team Championship match, DIY defending against the Motor City Machine Guns. But it's just all, I don't really get what they're doing with this story. Like, there's this whole angle of who attacked the Street Profits when it is blatantly obvious to everyone that it was DIY to get their championship match. And then you've got Pretty Deadly now that obviously want a shot, and then they were blaming Los Garza, and then, I don't know, it's all a bit confusing. But basically, Johnny and Tommaso retained because Pretty Deadly and Los Garza, I think that's still their tag team name, right? Or Legado del Fantasma, whatever they're called, right? Then got involved, they were brawling, and then it caused a DQ, which meant that DIY retain. Up until the end, the match was pretty fun. I mean, Motor City Machine Guns, you're going to get that anyway. DIY, you're going to get that anyway, but Motor City Machine Guns are really fun to watch. But yeah, the match ended in a no contest due to interference from Pretty Deadly and Legado del Fantasma, allowing DIY to retain their championships. Up next, we had the Women's Championship match, Nia Jax defending against Naomi, and I'd argue this is probably the biggest match of the night, and it didn't really have too much to do with the match. But Nia did defend her title successfully against Naomi after Tiffany came down and did a fake cash-in to kind of swerve people. And that wasn't even the biggest swerve. But yeah, so Nia retained thanks to Tiffany. And then after the match is when the biggest, possibly maybe even one of the best cash-ins, Money in the Bank cash-ins happened. Tiffany turns on Nia, hits her with the briefcase. Tiffany then gets out of the ring after taking out Candice as well, and Bianca then hits a massive KOD on Nia, and then Tiffany capitalizes, cashes in, hits the moonsault, and we have a new women's champion. I mean, it's about damn time. I do think the actual storytelling of it has kind of deviated at times, and it's been good at points and then bad at points. Like, there was one week that stands out to me where Nia was really like talking down to Tiffany, and I think at one point grabs her by the throat and is like threatening her almost. And then the next week they're best friends again, and then the week after they're fine. And then I don't know. I feel like they were teetering on the edge of going all in with it, and then being like, okay, maybe we should be a bit cautious with this. We don't know if this is the direction we want. We don't really know. I don't know. But I think the actual cash-in itself was so well done. Obviously, Tiffany coming down, pretending like she was going to cash in, and then not doing, because if she'd have cashed in at the moment she came down, then would have been a triple threat match, and Naomi could have won, Nia could have retained, you know. So her actually then, like, trolling us all was actually the better thing to do, because it then meant that she gets now a straight one-on-one chance, you know. She makes sure that Naomi wasn't going to be an issue anymore. I think that's probably the biggest moment of this show, and what a way to kick off 2025, man. And then that brings us to the main event. It was obviously Solo Sikoa's Bloodline taking on Sami Zayn and the Usos. Really good to see the Usos back on the same page. I was a bit terrified when Survivor Series was coming around and they were doing the Bloodline versus Bloodline, because I kind of wondered what that meant. Obviously, Sami Zayn should have been a world champion by now. He needs to be around that world championship. It now actually seems that he's not going to get that, because rumours are that he's actually now going to be on SmackDown as a part of the transfer window and whatnot. And then, obviously, Jey Uso said that he wants to be a world champion in 2025. That implies that he's staying on Raw. Because I don't see him getting Cody's belt. Same with Sami, I don't see him getting Cody's belt. But the World Heavyweight Championship, absolutely. So I do kind of feel sorry for Sami. It's not looking like he's getting a world title shot anytime soon. At least definitely not winning it. Who knows? Maybe they do put the WWE Championship on him. But to me, that doesn't seem to fit. But yeah, I am glad that it doesn't seem like they're putting Jey straight back with Jimmy. Because I've said this before. Jimmy needs Jey a whole lot more than Jey needs Jimmy. Because obviously Jey is so over right now. Obviously the whole yeet thing. So like last night when all three of them came out to his song, the crowd's yeeting. It's just a good time. He's so over. Whereas Jimmy could be United States champion at best. But I think Jimmy Uso is a tag team guy. And this is now where he's going to maybe struggle this year. Jey, realistically, he can get his Intercontinental Championship back. He can be a world champion. He can be a tag champion. Whatever it is, people are going to follow him. Whereas Jimmy, maybe not so much. He still needs work. But yeah, in the main event, Bloodline, led by Solo. They were facing, obviously, Sami Zayn and the Usos. The Bloodline did win, obviously, Monday. Solo takes on Roman, Tribal Combat. So I understand why this main evented, but I do think they maybe could have and probably should have put Nia and Naomi as the main event, obviously with the whole Tiffany cash-in. But I mean, I understand why they put this match as main event, because they're sending a message like, don't miss Monday. But yeah, and that is everything that I think was worth talking about from SmackDown. Scores-wise, out of 10, I'd probably say about an 8. Like I said, the matches were really fun, and I did enjoy the promos and whatnot, and it felt like a really stacked show. Obviously, again, Monday is Netflix. Is it going to compare to Monday? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm going to say probably not. But yeah, I can't wait for Monday. First off on John Cena's retirement tour, which I'm still not ready. And yeah, we maybe see The Rock. Who knows? We've got, obviously, Seth versus Punk, which is being billed as the main event, but I don't know if that's the wise decision. I get it, but I don't know. And then you've got Roman Solo. You've got Jey versus Drew. Like, there's so much for Monday, and I can't wait. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.